Hey guys, welcome back. This is Mr. Ray, and today what we're doing is we're finding the domain and range of what? Of these functions here, 2x plus 3, x squared, x minus 2 squared minus 4, the square root of x minus 3, and 1 over x minus 2. I'm excited. Let's get started. Okay, the first one is f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. First of all, it's a good idea to know what this is. What shape is this on a graph? This, of course, is a line. How do you know that, Mr. Ray? Because x is to the first power, So it's a line. Now, when we think about domain, we think about all the x values. So when you have a line, is there any x value that I cannot put in? No, it goes from negative infinity to infinity. So for a line, the domain is negative infinity to infinity, parentheses. Always parentheses when we have infinity. Okay, how about the range? Again, it's a line. Are there any y values it can't be? No. For a line, it's going to be all y values. Negative infinity to infinity. Always parentheses when we have infinity, because nothing can be added. We don't use brackets for infinity. Okay? Great. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, the next one is f of x is equal to x squared. What kind of a function is this? What does the graph look like? Think about that first. Well, this is going to be a parabola. Now, a parabola goes from negative infinity for x to infinity. So the domain is going to be negative infinity to infinity. There are no x values that I can't put in. However, what about the range? What is that going to be? Well, you have to think about what's the smallest value for y. The smallest value for y is 0. It can't be negative. Remember, x squared can never come out to be negative, no matter what value we put in. And it goes up to infinity. The y values go all the way up to infinity. Now, at 0, we're going to put a bracket because it can be equal to 0. And that's going to be our domain and range. Okay, next example, we have x minus 2 squared. That's a square. X minus 2 squared, if that didn't look clear, minus 4, f of x. What is this shape? It's x squared. It's positive a. So what is this going to be? Yeah, it's going to be a parabola pointed up. But we need to know the vertex because that's the lowest point for a parabola pointing up, right? And this is in vertex form. Do you remember from my other videos? 2, -4. 2, there's a negative built in the equation and a -4. That's going to be the vertex. We're going to use that. But first, we need to find the domain. Now, for domains of parabolas, it's going to be all x values are okay. Negative infinity to infinity, parentheses. But the range, what's the range going to be? Well, let's think about this, okay? Now, that vertex is 2, -4. So the smallest y value is going to be -4. It can equal -4, so there's a bracket. And how far can it can go up to infinity, right? It's pointed up. It's a parabola pointed up. So the y values are going to increase to infinity. And there's our domain and range, okay? Now, real quick, let's do the next one. Okay, we have f of x is equal to square root x minus 3. This has got more difficult. Okay, when you have a square root, what's ever under the square root, to get the domain, you set that, what's underneath the square root, greater than or equal to 0 and solve. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. I'm going to get x is greater than or equal to 3. It has to be greater than or equal to 3. That's what you do to find the domain. So domain, greater than or equal to 3. So what's the smallest value it can be? It can be 3, bracket 3. It can be greater than 3, anything greater than 3. Infinity, parentheses. Now, this is trickier. What can the range be? In order to understand the range, you have to understand that a square root function looks like this. Okay? It looks like that. It looks like half of a parabola that's pointed to the right. Half a parabola pointed to the right. Okay? And actually, this is y and this is x. This is what this graph would look like. Right here. So, what's the smallest value for y? Typically for a square root, it's going to be 0. If I put a 3, now how do we know that? How do I know that, Mr. Ray? Start with the smallest value for x. If you put that 3 in for x, you're going to get a 0 for y. And then it increases to infinity, parentheses, and there's our domain and range. Okay, I'm putting in a bonus problem here because I think the math teacher in me just feels like some of you are looking at that and going, you need some more practice. Try this one. You know how to get the domain. The range might be trickier, but find the domain, pause the video, find the domain, I'll be right here. Hey, welcome back. Did you miss me? I'm just kidding. So now what you want to do is you want to take that underneath the square root, right? 1 minus 2x and make it greater than equal to 0. Okay? So I'm going to have a negative 2x square greater than or equal to negative 1. Divide by negative 2. X, switch the sign when you divide by a negative number. When you divide by a negative number, negative 2, you have to switch the sign. X has to be less than or equal to 1/2. Okay? Less than or equal to 1/2. If x is anything more than that, then it won't work. You can't take a square root of a negative number. So the domain is going to be, the domain is going to be what? Less than. So we have bracket over here. This is the biggest value, 1/2. It can go down to negative infinity, parentheses. Okay? Now, wait a minute, Mr. Ray. What is the range? Okay, what is the range? Okay, we're going to put that 1/2 in. When we put that 1/2, we're going to get 0 for y. And then it's going to go up to infinity because it's a positive square root. Little bit difficult, but bear with me. If you have questions about this, let me know down in the comments. Okay, last one's a rational function, f of x equal to 1 over x minus 2. Before we do that, it might be helpful to start from the beginning though. Simpler, let's take this a little bit simpler first. F of x equal to 1 over x. What does the graph of a rational function look like? This is what it looks like. What's the domain? Well, what can x not be? You cannot divide by 0. Every other number is okay. So negative infinity, comma, 0, parentheses, there's no equal. And then in the middle, we're going to put union, 0 to infinity. The range is the same because when you have a fraction 1 over x, it can never equal 0 for y. Same, negative infinity to 0. Union, 0 to infinity. Let's go back to that other example. This example. So the domain. What can x not equal for the domain? Well, x cannot be 2. Any other value is okay. When x is 2, we divide by 0, and that is a no-no. So we have negative infinity to 2, parentheses, union, parentheses, 2 to infinity. It cannot equal 2. There's no bracket. What about that range? Okay, well, the range for this is this 1 over x minus 2 can't be 0, can never be 0. So that's going to be negative infinity to 0, union 0 to infinity. Okay? Now, I think it might be a good idea to do a individual videos for the square roots and the rational functions. Rational functions and square root functions, I think I'm going to do separate videos for. This is just an introduction into this. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. Again, my name is Mr. Ray. I'm here to help. Whatever questions you have, I want to hear about them, and I want to help you. Thank you.